Quickly, Eddie, are there any particular matchups you're looking forward to at the weekend? I'd imagine the couple of minutes of a taste that David Blanchfield got of marking Big Road in the All-Ireland final last year. That's maybe something that might happen. Maybe, you might have Dara Corcoran tracking Tom Morrissey. As you said, you could have Hugh Lawler tracking Keane, Billy Drennan potentially on Sean Finn. Anything in particular stand out that you're really looking forward to?
I think, look, if Hegarty plays and Tom Morrissey plays, I mean, they're two guys that are so pivotal. Look, where do you start with who's important to Limerick and all that? It's maybe then who picks up Gillan. Is Tommy Walsh going to pick up Gillan? So that's a test for him. And I think that's what, if I'm Derek, I'd be really prodding the guys to go have a cut. Don't die wondering. Don't play tractor. I've this term of tractors and trailers where you follow a lad around. I think you can't do that. I think you have to be up and you're marking them. And if you can get a ball off Hegarty or Tom Morrissey like Blanchfield, you try hurt them. You try hurt them with a point and make sure then that they don't get something the next time. But yeah, Blanchfield looked custom made for Hegarty in terms of his athletic ability and the left hand maybe being able to, use the hurling the left hand to jockey for possession on those high balls. But ultimately, it's Hegarty's movements that he has to really. So if you have ambitions right now, if Kilkenny have an ambition of winning All Ireland this year, they obviously have to get through their campaign. But the probability is that if you're going to beat Limerick, then you have to take on these lads. So this is a great opportunity for them to have a cut and see where they're at and see where, what they need to improve on.
Just quickly, that tractor and trailers thing, that's essentially that you're tagging a lad, but that you're not just following around, that you're actually having an impact on the game as well as that. You're not just tagging him, if you get me, that you're trying to be proactive. You're not just a stopper, but you're trying to change the game in the sense of getting on the ball. If you're marking Hegarty, it's not just stopping him from getting the ball, it's trying to maybe get on the ball and impact play.
Well, the term, I use tractors and trailers in a bad sense, in that you can't beat a trailer where the forward is towing you around and he just goes where you're playing the game on his terms and you're just following him, kind of maybe playing safe a little bit. It's not good. So what I would be saying is that the modern game involves that if you go and get a ball, you're going to be detached from your marker. So you might have the job for this. Say, listen, I want you on Hegarty, I want you on Morrissey, or whatever the play is. But you have to be able to go and play, not be afraid to lose him, not worry and say, well, I'm watching him and he's standing at the sideline and the boys are running amok inside. Like, you have to be able to know what's happening and know what he's doing and be proactive and be brave and say, look, if I can go up and get a point. But obviously, it's what you do after that is the key. And the example I use so many times, and I spoke about this several times, is you have an image of Jack Fagan, I think maybe 2 years ago, putting the ball over the bar and he's backing back and the camera is still on him. Next thing you turn around and Tom Morrissey's at the other side of the pitch, his direct marker, and he's putting the ball over the bar. So straight away, that brilliant point from a wing back is cancelled out. So that's the way hurling is. It's just ultimate hurling at the moment, is that, and Limerick are so good. That's the key. I think that's your target area. Limerick's restart is excellent.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good and so economical with the ball, aren't they? And as you say there, they take a hammer blow, it could be a goal or whatever. Quaid puts the ball into a spot that someone moves into, and all of a sudden, a 3-point swing is now 2 points, and you're on the back foot, and they're going after your puck out the next time almost. They're so good at it, aren't they? And they're so good. I don't know, Eddie, I've never seen a team adapt to problems mid-game as well as they do. Like, you've played in games as well where, you're beating all ends up. It seems like you're just, when a lad kind of is nearly, you just feel like your marker has more energy than you. The team you're playing against has more energy than you. And it's usually not till the next time you play them that you get to, exact revenge or whatever. But Limerick are able to, like the Tip game the last day, they're able to turn things mid-game. It's phenomenal, really.
Yeah, and like, if anyone showed another, challenge, like we've seen a few times where teams have stifled this Limerick outfit, but not for a full match. Tips, puck outs, and what they done with that was excellence down in Thurles, their movement, everything. But Limerick were able to just adjust a little bit, and it's a small little thing, like saying pushing up on the puck outs rather than retreating to the 45 with the 3 full forwards and the other lads outside, which is what their kind of standard setup is. And almost coaxing you into coming out against them short. But yeah, look, I think it's what it is that when they play, like, there's a primary run, then there's a secondary run. Like, they don't just, there's not an end move with them. So when Hegarty makes a run or Tom Morrissey makes a run, they're okay, that didn't work out. Nicky Quaid probably has to have 3 options. then they're thinking the next move. And they always seem to have a next thing of what they do next. It's not just going, well, that's the end of it. It's options, options, options all the time. And they're able to their in-game smarts is really good. And that comes from probably nights after night doing it below on their own pitch where they're being presented with issues, they're being presented with problems, and then themselves talking it out. Now, that's very, very hard in the middle of a match. We've seen the last day, the breather at half time obviously helped them reassess, which is important. But they are able to do it in match as well. They're able to communicate with each other and do little bits and pieces or whatever it is to change it up, which is a very, very hard thing to do. Because like you said there, when a team is getting you and they have a run on you, it's hard to fix that.
Just on Limerick quickly, Eddie, have you been impressed with what you've seen in the league? The likes of Donegal Dálig coming in, Micheál Houlihan, Cottle O'Neill back, who looks like he could make a really big play, I think, to be in the starting team. You've Shane O'Brien as well. Like, it's a funny one as well. They're a winning team, but they're not stagnating, if you get me. Like, they've dropped a couple of lads that have been around the squad for a while, have a couple of All-Ireland medals in their back pocket. They seem to have the luxury of parachuting guys in now. O'Dálig has scored something like 110 or 112 from play in the league. Looks like he could be an option off the bench. The other three lads the same, and potentially O'Neill from the start. And that's not to mention Conor Boylan, who come on and got a point in the All-Ireland final. Like, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, and even the last day, look, Garrod arrived on for a blood sub, and they didn't
Not
even,
a bad blood sub, is he?
they didn't even need to leave, man. O'Dálig has been very good. Or Dowling, I seen him playing with Munleen this year. Like, he's a real central player. He's a good player. I think what he is though is it's this typical, what we come to get and know with this Limerick team is these impact subs. You look at him, he is a ball of energy. He never stopped against Tip Hunt. And even it's the bigger thing is, and I know it's one of their metrics that they mark themselves on, is their ability to hunt down and turn over backs. He was like he was hunting everything. Anytime there's a tip man near him, he went hunting. And some of them are very good at standing them up. But I think that's Limerick have added to their squad in a big, big way now. I think that's, and you look at the guys that are coming in, like you look at even where Colin Coughlin now is, Cottle O'Neill now has to be going, I want to start on this team because, he had, I think a couple of good points against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final to see the job out the last day. He understands the movement that they do in that half-forward line. He plays centrally as an 11, but I think you could play him on either wing as well. He seems to me, of all the lads there, he seems to understand the movement they do around that area as equally as good as the lads that are there. And what a luxury of riches to say, will we put Keane back out midfield or do we leave him centre forward? I personally think centre forward is the place because he's just going to hurt you so much from there with his hurling brains. And even the last day, I thought he doesn't look anywhere near as snappy and as fit as he can be, but his hurling brain is just out of this world. Like, he's just seeing things behind him, and he attracts lads in, and he's able to just get the ball off every time. But yeah, all in all, you'd say they're in a good place, strong squad, competition there, and it's going to take a serious effort to beat them.
We haven't even mentioned David Reedy yet. He hasn't featured since coming off against Cork the first day. So there's
Richie English, another fella then as well. Like, played a lot of leagues.
Grant, we just have another all-star to throw into the full backline if anything goes wrong. How do you see the game going at the weekend, Eddie? And just on Limerick haven't been beaten in a final under John Kiley. I think a final of any description, be it Munster League, Munster, or All Ireland. Like, are you poking the bear if they're beaten in the league final at the weekend, or does it set some sort of doubt in that your nearest rival, the team that brought you to within 2 points in the All Ireland final last year, maybe has one up in you? Like, I think Kilkenny probably have most to gain from the weekend.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think Kilkenny have a lot to gain. I think Jesus, don't get me wrong. I'd love this Kilkenny team to go down there and win a National League in Páirc Uí Chaoimh against the All Ireland champions. It would be brilliant for them because. From my experience, it makes you grow. It brings you bouncing into training a bit more. It gives you a bit of belief, and I think that's the one thing that John Kiley would be kind of in the back of his mind, mindful of. That in 18, Kilkenny were very, very close to them. Maybe it could have gone either way, and they ultimately kicked on. They hurt them in 19 last year, despite how well Limerick got a return off their puckouts. Kilkenny were still within 2 points. So I think the one thing he won't want to do is give them any sort of a sniff psychologically that they can come at us. In the broader scheme of things, will it have an impact on this Limerick team going into a Munster Championship? I'm not sure it would have a devastating effect on them. I think it would probably even steal their heads a tiny bit more. But I definitely think they are not going to anything other than try win this match. And I do think if they get going, and with the Kilkenny team, minus TJ and Adrian Mullen, I think, and I suppose I'm conscious of saying this, you'd have people leaping and shouting, but I think if we can keep that to 6 points or thereabouts, I think there'd be nothing wrong with that. I think that'd be a really respectable performance if we can go down there. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to win, but I think if we go down and go toe to toe with Limerick and have a right good battle with them, and it's less than 6 points, I think there's no shame in that.